The people of Israel will not leave anyone behind. That is the main message going into the weekend. Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel Rubenstein. This is the live daily briefing of the Israeli Citizen Spokespersons Office. It's January 23rd, 2025, day 475 of the October 7th war. Here's what we're seeing today. The IDF announced that in the past day, several armed terrorists approached an IDF position in Gaza and threatened Israeli soldiers. The IDF opened fire and defended itself. The IDF said that one terrorist was killed. There's an interesting fact in the IDF's statement about the incident. The IDF statement says that the dead terrorist was a member of Islamic Jihad, not Hamas. It sounds very convenient to me that it's Islamic Jihad and not Hamas. It sounds like Hamas wants to keep the ceasefire but send its partners in Islamic Jihad to probe the IDF's positions and see where the IDF's weaknesses are. It's something worth watching. To see if it happens again, the IDF has emphasized to Palestinians that they should follow its instructions and avoid approaching IDF positions in Gaza. Israel is still facing threats from the Iranian regime and its proxies on 7 different fronts: Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and the Iranian regime itself. Today, right now, the spotlight is on the West Bank. I saw that the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Associated Press, and others have articles on what's going on in the West Bank today. That's because Israel just launched a major military operation in the northern West Bank city of Jenin. The Palestinian Authority has also been operating there in recent weeks in order to crack down on terrorists who are endangering local Palestinians as much as they are endangering Israelis. As the ceasefire in Gaza came into effect, Hamas called on Palestinians to increase attacks from the West Bank against Israelis. Remember, Hamas has been increasing in popularity in the West Bank. According to Palestinian pollster Khalil Shikaki, a majority of Palestinians thought that the October 7th massacre was a good idea. And the level of support for the October 7th massacre was higher in the West Bank than it was in Gaza. Even if the ceasefire holds for a while in Gaza, Israel has every reason to continue fighting terrorists in the West Bank. Let's talk about what's happening this weekend. The people of Israel want to bring their mothers, daughters, sisters, fathers, brothers, and babies home. We will not leave anyone behind. The people of Israel feel like they have a gun to their heads. Imagine if jihadists abducted your daughter and said, in order to get your daughter back, you need to release the terrorist who killed your mother and may take your grandmother hostage next month. We're being blackmailed. We're paying a ransom. It's a very high price to pay. Israel is releasing convicted terrorists in exchange for Israelis who were taken from their homes and held without a single visit from the Red Cross for more than 15 months. We will be happier when the hostages come home. We will also be less safe once terrorists are back on the streets. Today is Thursday. I hope and expect that the terrorist army Hamas will release 4 more female Israeli hostages on Saturday as scheduled in the hostage ransom deal. We do not know the names of the women that Hamas will release or their condition. We don't know their names or their condition because Hamas insists on torturing the families of the hostages until the last possible moment when it reveals their names and later hands over the hostages to the Red Cross. It's a sadistic reality show where every week the hostage families have to wait to find out who the lucky families are who get to be reunited with their loved ones. This isn't a game. It's a nightmare. It's been 475 days since the Hamas terrorist army in Gaza invaded Israel, massacred 1,200 people, and took 251 hostages. Hamas is still holding 94 hostages. It's barbaric. President Trump was right when he said that Hamas cannot be the government of Gaza. Israel is under enormous international pressure to return to the reality that existed on October 6th, 2023. We cannot go back to the reality that existed before the October 7th massacre. Hamas can never be allowed to threaten the people of Israel again. One last item. It's finally happening. More and more people are seeing the Qatari government for what it is, a vile and nefarious player in the Middle East. The reason people are talking about this is because President Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, called Qatar enormously helpful in negotiating the hostage ransom deal. Witkoff was criticized for his praise of Qatar. The criticism is warranted. Here's why. On October 7th, 2023, at 3:15 p.m. Israel time, long after it was clear that Hamas was carrying out barbaric atrocities in Israel and taking hostages, the Qatari Ministry of Foreign Affairs published a statement that said Israel was solely responsible for the ongoing escalation. Qatar condemned Israel on October 7th while Hamas leaders were celebrating in Qatar. Qatar is Hamas's agent. Hamas is a Qatari asset. Qatar wants the war in Gaza to end with Hamas still in power. Qatar told Hamas to keep the hostages until Hamas could get a deal that kept Hamas in power. That's why Qatar seems like it's being enormously helpful now. It thinks it's getting what it always wanted. That should concern us all.